Now the question is base pay fair? Because when we get orders like this one right here, like at $2 for 2 miles, you know for sure there is no tip, and this is the lowest of the low of base pay. So what are your actual thoughts when you get this type of an order? Because to me, some of my thoughts is like, why in the world is there any type of base pay like this? Why do I even get an offer like this? And because when you're in the heat of the game, you're thinking about, man, I'm trying to actually make some money now, and $2 won't actually cut it. So you're going to be forced to hit that decline button. And that's okay. Get rid of it, go to the next offer. So when did this all begin? This $2 base pay mess. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment box. I believe it could have been like September 2019. Then actually really got full force implemented in that same year in October. If I'm correct, if not, just go ahead and put in the comment box whatever you think when that actually could have been. But no matter when it started, we know that's what it is currently right now. But this also fluctuates and it all depends. It can be like $2, even up to $10. And especially, I don't know if you ever received a pharmacy order. Most of my pharmacy orders was a base pay of $10. Because I don't think with pharmacy orders, they are even allowed to tip. But on these just normal food delivery orders, it's going to start from $2 and more it gets declined and pushed around and passed around. It might go up a quarter, it'll be $2.25, then $2.50. It might get up to a few bucks. You just never know. It depends how many dashers it actually goes to. Also depend on how long this order is actually expected to take, how far it actually is from point A to point B. So when it comes to that aspect, it could be just a little bit higher starting rate of a base pay. It just depends what the algorithm is going to kind of throw at you. But most of the time, $2. Then I pretty much think about, is this going to get any lower? Can it go any higher? Will they even allow it to go higher? I'm just like, man, I don't want to be like a negative Nancy or a negative Norman or whatever negative you want to put it at, but I really don't want to think of it going any lower. Because I know there's some people, they're afraid that the base pay is going to get zeroed out and it's going to be pretty much just tip only. That would be an absolute nightmare. But I highly doubt, I don't think that would ever happen. But you never know. So be sure to put your thoughts down in the comment box, but make sure be respectful, because here's some good news. Actually, people from DoorDash has told me, like when I was at the conference this year, that they actually watch these videos. So, and not only do they watch the videos, but they're also reading the comments. And this is how we as a people and we as a dasher have a voice. So let yourself be heard respectfully, because you got to think about it. Because if you just go off in the comments, say DoorDash is trash and this is horrible, skip the mess and get to the points, because it's the points is what's going to change things for DoorDash's future, and maybe some other gig apps can follow. But the only way to make some changes is talk about it. And this will also give me some ammo and ammunition to actually talk on your behalf if I ever have, hopefully get the chance again to speak with DoorDash, either it's yearly, quarterly, or whenever. I will be prepared, but I need you to help equip me with the comments below. Also, when it came down to this DoorDash roundtable, in the very beginning of the conference, Tony Xu, the CEO of DoorDash, he was actually asked, does he actually watch our content? And he was very honest and he said no. But there are other people that actually do watch it. But that's okay if you have a team doing different things, watching, reading, building a plan, presenting that plan, making changes to make things happen. And us, me and you as a team can help the team DoorDash make the necessary changes. Not like it's going to be like overnight or anything, but sometimes it may take some months and hopefully not years. But as long as we get to the common goal, we can actually make change. And when Tony was even asked about customer tips, he actually explained it in this way. And you can pretty much put like base pay all in that kind of that same box, the way he explained this thing. Because he says, sure, we can always get the tips increased. He didn't say X amount, but it's really X amount because he used the example of $100. So there's a minimum of $100 tip for Dashers that customers have to give. And this is just an example, because who's going to pay $100 for a tip, especially like on like a burger or nuggets? Nobody. Of course, you're going to drive away what? Customers if you keep on have like a tip minimum. Or you can think of the same way as them putting fees and bringing more fees to the customers, or even more fees to the restaurants. And if your fees are just that much more where they just can't stand it, I mean, people are going to quit on you. So you got to find what? You got to find a balance. And when you get that balance, you're going to find your sweet spot. And for some reason, especially right now, $2 is DoorDash's sweet spot for Dashers to make per order. Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out. Things will get better. And more towards at the end of this conference, they had like more like one-on-one discussions with all of us Dashers. And I'm so glad that included me, because there was like 2 or 3 DoorDash employees kind of asking me some questions, want to know a little bit more of my insights, my thought of a little bit of this and that. And here's a couple things right here. And one of the first thing I brought up was base pay, and moved on into stacked orders. Because it wasn't that long ago with these stacked orders, the base pay was actually stacked. You got $2 for each one. But what was it, like maybe over a year-ish ago, 2 years maybe-ish? I think it may be a year and a half, where DoorDash put it like, hey, one base pay, $2, even though it's 2 different orders. Now, I did reflect on that, and I was just like, this is what makes a lot of these orders that it really don't make sense for us to even take, because you got to be aware of the stuff that we have to expense, such as our gas and our oil, and there's the upkeep of the vehicles. Then we got to try to maintain whatever X amount of money that we need, and that makes sense in our area where it's like easy to make $20 an hour, $25 an hour, or 30 or whatever dollars an hour. So these base pays and these tips are extremely important. And if you would like more details about what went on during this meeting, check out this video right up here for a deep dive in details. But this is strictly about base pay. So what do you think? Is base pay fair? Then you gotta think, what is fair? Let's look at an example. 1150, 5.3 miles, Taco Bell and Dairy Queen. This is a stacked offer. Would you take it? It is clearly over $2 per mile, but you're picking up from 2 different places. So my general thought, well, how long is this going to take? Now, I'm not too sure what time this was, but I see the delivery time, it said 9:06. So it had to been like roughly at least maybe 30-ish or less minutes. Because for me in my market, I'm at least trying to make it the minimum of $20 an hour right here in good old Texas. If my memory serves me correctly, I picked up the orders in a reasonable amount of time and delivered them in a reasonable amount of time. So it actually made this offer a good offer for $11.50 because I took this. But now, go ahead and ask me about the breakdown. Well, I'm glad that you asked, because now we see a base pay of $2. Now we see for sure it is a $2 base pay. How does that make you feel? Like, oh man, couldn't add nothing else? Well, this is the bare minimum, where you want to see this as $1 for each, or them DoorDash is trying to do a buy one, get one free. However you want to look at it, it is what it is. $2 base pay, $3 from the Taco Bell, $6.50 from the Dairy Queen to equal me $11.50. And the way I see this is, okay, it's not like a terrible offer when you just look at it from $11.50, 5.3 miles. I can knock it out in a reasonable amount of time. All I gotta do is just complete the order so I can get to the next one. Hopefully I get maybe an $8, $9, $10 offer to keep this thing moving and keep this thing going. And as long as you just keep the ball rolling, you're gonna be okay. But yet I still think about, is this fair? Was that fair? When you just kind of see it, it's just like, base pay, $2, terrible. But then I think about, it was still a decent amount of money for the time that I put in and effort and going, and so I can get to my next offer. When I look at it in that aspect, it kind of settled me down a little bit because I'm trying to think about the broader aspect of the orders and how much I'm going to be making per hour. Another thing that kind of makes me feel a little bit better is like when I don't think about the details of just like, oh, the $2, oh my gosh, they're just jipping me. The more we stay in a negative mindset, the more this thing is going to mess with our heads and it's going to knock us off our game. If you want to think about it after your dash. Then you can start thinking about if there's another app that you like better. Is there something you want to do over here? Is there something you want to do over there? But when you're actually in the game, stay in the game and plan accordingly afterwards. But I definitely understand you might see something you don't like and you're like, you know what, tap out, I'm done. Now you can think about it for sure. But let's say you're going to continue and stay on DoorDash and you're actually going to keep on working the app. And no matter how DoorDash, they might throw us a curveball here or a curveball there, maybe change base pay, hopefully for an increase. That's what I'm hoping and praying for. Not going to hold my breath, but it would be awesome. Because you know what? I just can't help to think about. It's just like, yes, even during this event, they told us that these DoorDash employees actually go on dashes and they wanted our insights and wanted our thoughts about our mindset of when we see such and such orders. And I hope everybody got a really good example and maybe a taste of what we're thinking and going through. This is why we were there, because I don't know exactly what their salary is. Maybe they're not thinking about actually, does this make sense to me? I can see that and understand it. And if I'm just kind of doing DoorDash just as a job, it actually wouldn't matter. I'm just going out because I'm trying to get an experience. But until you actually need money, like a lot of us dashers, which is why we're actually doing this in the first place, until you actually need a job that pays you X amount, you probably won't truly understand how badly it is to make $20, $25, $30 an hour. Because when you need something, it takes it to a whole new level. When you need something for your child, when you need something for your wife or spouse, when you need something, I'm not trying to think of it just as a vacation. I'm talking about you need something. Then you got to handle the expenses of it all. Then you got to weigh it all out. When I think about need something, that's how I take it personal, because there was a time where I needed DoorDash. I needed these gig apps. Because if it wasn't for the gig apps, I don't know what I would have done, especially with the time that allowed in me. So before I go on a tangent and get too personal, I hope you find value out of this video. If you would, like, share, and subscribe, and see me in the next video.